What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Brandon, and I've got some more Resident Evil 2 Remake news today. There's been some recent information released on some more subtle changes to the game. Back at E3, we were not only treated to an announcement and a trailer, but also a 20-minute playable demo that people who were there were able to play. And judging by that, you can tell there's been a lot of changes in the game itself. Most of them really small. East and west side doors of the police station are different. You access them differently. Things like Marvin has a bigger role, or at least more of a role than he did in the original. There's other things too, that like the liquor, they've said the liquor is going to be in a different spot. That was pretty well confirmed by the gameplay. Even though it's not final, that's pretty well confirmed. There's going to be a lot of little changes. They have confirmed that Tofu and Hunk are going to be back, which is awesome. They've got a lot of the original content returning to this version, but they've announced that they're going to be accessible in maybe a different way. I don't know exactly what that means. They didn't really elaborate a whole lot there, but when asked about Tofu and Hunk, they said that they were there, and also they were asked about the alligator boss fight, if that was going to return, and that has been confirmed as well. He also confirmed that originally that they had possibly taken it out because the team's idea for how this new, like their idea for this new Resident Evil 2, this new version, didn't really fit the new vision of the remake. But after some convincing, producer Hirabayashi had pretty well changed their mind, and I guess there had been some changes through a few different iterations, and that's not the only thing apparently that's going to be changed. But as far as we know, we don't exactly know how it's going to happen, but that the alligator supposedly is back. So that's good news. As far as Tofu and Hunk, in the new bit information, they did promise that they would not be released as DLC, that they would actually be accessible in the game on the disc. How they're going to be in, if they're going to be in the story, I don't know. Like how they're going to be in there remains to be seen. And hopefully they might change it up a little bit. That might be pretty neat. But at least they're not going to be DLC. As far as that goes, I don't even know what they would do for DLC. I can't think of really too much of anything that they... I mean, hopefully everything's pretty well on the disc. Maybe they can add some more costumes or weapons. Maybe they can add... maybe they can do like 7 or something and add a couple little side stories here and there. Maybe something prior, like an outbreak type thing where you have a few of the survivors or post-outbreak characters that were kind of around doing their thing before Leon arrived. I think that would be kind of neat. Or maybe like Marvin, for instance. Maybe we can see if Marvin did anything of interest. You know, maybe he had a little story there before he, got hurt, and then Leon showed up. I don't know, something like that. Maybe that would be pretty cool. If not, I'm not really worried about it. Other than that, I can't think of anything that DLC-wise that would be interesting or that would work. I don't know. As far as pre-order stuff goes, it's already been announced, so most of you all know this. But they announced Samurai Edge skins that were used by Chris and Jill Valentine in the first one. They also have announced that, I think it's in a pre-order of the deluxe edition, that you can get a skin for the Samurai Edge, and it looks like Albert Wesker's. And one of my favorite things about it, about the deluxe edition, is the ability to swap out the musical score to the original music, like the original score of Resident Evil 2. That's going to be awesome. And I guess they brought the original composer of Resident Evil 2 back to do the score for this game, but it's still awesome that you can take the original music for that game and then switch it out and play it. That's gonna be awesome. Next up is the difficulty system. They're saying that the game will be using an adaptive difficulty system that has been a staple since Resident Evil 4. Basically, depending on how you're playing or how well you're doing, the game will get harder as you go. And I kind of like that, just because I like the ability. If you're doing really well, you're always going to be able to create that. And they said that they have done their best to fine-tune the system to where no matter how well you're doing or how bad you're doing, there's still going to be tense moments. If you're doing really well, you're still going to have moments that it's really tense, and you know, you're never going to really fully ever feel safe, and I think that's extremely important. So that's a good thing. They also said that with the return of ink ribbons and the higher difficulties, there's going to be a limited time that you can actually use them, and that's similar to some of the other games too, so I'm really excited about that. So if you really want a challenge, there's going to be something for you in that. And along with that too, that they're going to be able to create more tension and story driven moments through music like they did in the past, whereas in 7, it being in first person, they really focused on the things that you heard around you in, you know, in the setting itself. You know, with this in third person, you have to do some things a little bit different. So they're not using the exact same technique, which I like. It's more classic Resident Evil, which is important. And finally, I also want to discuss a little bit about a possible Nintendo Switch version. They were asked about a possible Nintendo Switch version, and they pretty much said that they're going to initially focus on the 3 platforms that it's been announced for already, and that's the PC, Xbox One, and PS4. For the time being, they said there is no plans. That doesn't leave a lot, but it does leave a little bit of wiggle room. I think it would make sense to release it for the Nintendo Switch. I don't see why they wouldn't. Pretty much every game, I mean, we played Resident Evil 2 on PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64 and other platforms. The Nintendo GameCube actually ended up getting the remake of the first Resident Evil, so it's always kind of been there. They've always kind of utilized Nintendo consoles. So I really don't know for sure, but I think that they're going to look at maybe bringing it in, even if it's like maybe the end of next year or something. I think that it's a very good possibility. Now, they did just release Resident Evil 7 on the Switch in Japan, but it's through like cloud services. It's through streaming services, and it's kind of a weird deal. But so I don't know how they're going to do that. And I've also got another point about why I think it possibly could come to Switch. If you look at the PC requirements, and I'll go ahead and put them, I'm not going to talk about them, but I'll put them in the description. They're actually pretty lax for the PC requirements. Despite how great the game looks, they're pretty lax. So I do think that it's a very good possibility that they will, at a later date, bring a Nintendo Switch. I think it would be a benefit to not only them, but Nintendo. And I'd say Nintendo would probably try to do that. I could be wrong, but I still think they will. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's news, guys. It's not exactly brand new news, but I thought it was worth talking about and checking out for those who may not have heard it. I'm pretty excited about it. Let me know in the comments below what you think, if you're excited. I can't wait to see what they do with the alligator boss. I can't wait to see what how they implement Hunk. And I also cannot wait to play the game with the classical Resident Evil 2 music. That's going to be absolutely awesome. So if you are interested in hearing more about Resident Evil Remake and you want to keep up to date with all the new information, I'm going to try my best to do that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I will see you next time.